Okay, folks, so we got some big news this morning and we have to discuss it very violently. Then for the main entree, I want to discuss one setup that a lot of folks are saying could 10x. And this also happens to have a huge catalyst coming about 48 hours from now. I originally planned my breakdown on it for yesterday, but I got kind of stuck in a rabbit hole of research. And I want it to be thorough, so here it is today. All right, the big news today, GDP growth declined 1.4%. This is the first time that we've had a decline since the COVID drop quarters back in 2020. And as you know, it only takes 2 declining quarters to declare a recession, which means we could already be halfway through, declaring ourselves in the dirty R zone. But yes, it could also be a one-off quarterly contraction. However, if you look at history, those are unfortunately decently rare. Well, from 2009 to just before COVID in 2020, we only had 3 individual quarters total of contraction, which mostly happened early on in the overall recovery. But the thing is, from fourth quarter 1991 all the way up to that '08 crash, we had 0 one-off contractionary quarters. And I went through the data from 1950 to 1990, and I found that there were only 2 individual contractionary quarters reported over that 40-year time horizon. All other times resulted in back-to-back quarters being reported as contractionary and leading into a recession. So if you were going to go based on history alone, you could easily say, okay, well, hey, we're leading more towards recession. But I do think that's a stupid way to look at it. I think you have to look at everything in totality. But why the drop? Well, data shows a decline in private inventory investment, which was previously super high because businesses were stacking up on supplies due to worsening supply chain shortage worries in Q4 of 2021. You also had a huge widening of the trade deficit due to us importing substantially more than exporting, which also serves to contract the overall economy. And finally, you also had an 8.5% cut in government military spending, which also dragged down GDP quite a bit. But on the bright side, or at least as analysts are reporting on the bright side, consumer spending rose 2.7%, although if you do the math, well, during that same time period, prices rose 7.8%. It's kind of like grading on a curve. Realistically, though, the data today wasn't that dire, but considering that a lot of folks were already factoring in more growth for the first quarter, and considering the fact that most of the headwinds are actually ahead of us, not behind us, and we're already in contractionary mode, well, that's not a good sign. Keep in mind, Q1 included January and February, which were before both the Fed actually raising rate hikes and, for the most part, before Russia invading Ukraine. They invaded on the 24th of February. So the fact is, the data suggests that the economy was already weakening before you had these 2 big headwinds. And for Q1, the Fed basically did nothing meaningful to tighten anyways. And the little they did do, they did at the far end of the quarter on March 15th. So with all those headwinds coming in future quarters, you have to ask yourself, is the economy going to be able to push through all that, or is it going to lead into a multi-quarter recession? Did somebody say recession though? Sounds like you may want to consider investing in some real assets, huh? Speaking of real assets, have you considered investing in art? Art is one of the oldest and most reliable asset classes known to man. And diversifying your portfolio with multi-million-dollar paintings has never been so easy. Our sponsor today, Masterworks, is the only investing platform that has already returned over 30% net IRR to investors after the sale of 3 paintings on their website. If you click our link down below and go to it, you can browse and choose between hundreds of art pieces from famous artists like Picasso, Banksy, Warhol, and many more. And their platform helps you identify the pieces with the most momentum. But why would you invest in art? Well, according to Art Price, the value of blue chip art has outpaced the S&P 500 by 180% from 2000 to 2018, and it's a major asset class. In fact, a recent report from Deloitte values it at about $1.7 trillion. Research shows that art also has resilience in times of turmoil. A report from Citibank showed that in the first 7 months of 2020, the art market outperformed 10 major asset classes with contemporary art, achieving the strongest gains overall. In these tricky times for investors, it's more important than ever to make sure that you have proper allocation. And historically, leaving art out of your portfolio has been a big mistake. So if you'd like to learn more about diversifying into art, hit the link below and give Masterworks a look. You'll be able to skip their waiting list if you go through us. Anyways, thank you Masterworks for sponsoring this video. Now back to the content. Okay folks, now for the main entree. So every single morning I wake up, I put on my Charlie shorts, and I try to find what's moving, what's going to provide that juicy trading opportunity, or what's going to be set up for more running in the future. Some of those setups end up making it to our daily morning briefings, which by the way, coupon code Never Give Up on ZipTrader U expires on Saturday night. Lifetime access, one-time fee. Sorry, should have gotten that 15th booster. But some of the setups end up making it to our daily morning briefings with certain criteria, and then eventually some of them end up with in-depth video breakdowns on the channel, ones that have showed substantial proof of concept and I believe still have a lot more opportunity to run. But a select fewer of them I keep quiet about and watch them carefully from afar like a predator watches his prey. I like to imagine myself as a tiger, and the minute I see a runner, I want to grab it before it gets away or some other animal, some other vicious animal eats it. And in this current market condition of teasy McTeasy and Powell pounces, fundamentals and growth of business models isn't something that people care that much about right now. But in the trading world, you get a breath of fresh air. It's all about finding what's moving today, tomorrow, next week, or next month. In trading, you can throw away the fundamentals because all you want is that sweet, sweet momentum, child. And what I want to talk to you today about is the setup on Apecoin. It sounds stupid, yes, but so do most things. And so did Dogecoin, and so does most of the NFT market. But it's quickly climbed to number 27 in market cap at about $5 billion, and that's not chump change. I know a lot of people are thinking, with inflation, $5 billion, that ain't what it used to be. You need $44 billion to buy a low-tier social media network these days. But still, being able to get to a market cap of $5 billion, and actually I think it's $5.97 billion now as the price is moving up, is pretty impressive when considering that over the same time horizon, the overall cryptocurrency market hasn't moved much at all. Big dogs Bitcoin and Ethereum have been pretty much stagnant or losing money during this time horizon. And yesterday morning, Decrypt reported that Apecoin has become the largest metaverse token, surpassing Mana, Sand, and AXS. And of course, you already have the typical hypey websites and articles spreading around, saying Apecoin has a lot more to climb. For example, Gov.Capital suggests it can go as high as $131 a coin from its current around $20 price. And importantly, there's also a big event coming April 30th, which is expected to bring more attention to the cryptocurrency. So what is Apecoin, Charlie? Well, I'm going to be talking about both the good and the bad, and my predictions on whether it's going to have trading potential moving forward. Is this currency just monkey see, monkey do, or is there something behind it? We'll talk about trading opportunities both before its catalyst as well as afterwards. So Apecoin was launched on March 16th, and by March 17th, Coinbase listed Apecoin, and a lot of other brokers joined in around that time, which is pretty rare. It usually takes a while for most brokers to decide to list a new cryptocurrency. But everybody jumped on board pretty fast with this one, and it started at $1, and then after the listing jumped to $8.51, $12.94, and then over the weeks broke newer and higher highs and sits at about $19.70 now. It jumped to $21 while I was shooting and editing this video. It also has a typical holding time of 26 days, which suggests most folks are holding it and locking up supply from being traded, which helps bolster the prices. And this is just of the circulating supply, so a lot of the circulating supply that has gone around the last month and a half has been held onto, which is why you're seeing such a propping up of prices. Now, what actually is it though? Well, Apecoin is built to underlie the Bored Ape Yacht Club, which is a very popular ape-themed NFT collection known for its extravagant prices and high demand. In times of trouble, people start dumping risky assets like, for example, homes or stock in big companies, and they buy things that they know are always going to hold their value, like, for example, a monkey metaverse token. But the Bored Ape Yacht Club has historically been very, very effective at getting demand. For example, on January 31st, 2022, Crypto Briefing reported that the Bored Ape Yacht Club sold an ape for $2.8 million. On March 30th, Markets Insider reported that Bored Ape Yacht Club drove net sales to $300 million over the past week, and it highlighted the top 5 collections. And the biggest seller by number of sales and volume and highest sale price was, of course, the Bored Ape Yacht Club, with over $90 million in sales and the highest one in that week, selling for $624,000. So the idea is, hey, wait a second. So there's a lot of money attracted to this Bored Ape Yacht Club. Why not launch a currency for that whole ecosystem? The Bored Ape Yacht Club is obviously very, very popular, but with prices upward of 100,000 plus, most people can't afford that. So you're killing a lot of the capital that could flow in if you just offered cheaper products. Well, in comes Apecoin. This allows people to somewhat kinda buy into the brand name for a comparatively low price that most people can afford. I say somewhat kinda buy into it because you're not really buying into it, but you also are. People are looking at it as sort of a pseudo investment into the brand name, although you're not actually getting any part of the brand name. But you're also getting a token that could be used in the brand name in the future. So it's sort of also a speculation on the future value of the brand name. It's kind of a gray area. So here's the thing. The developer of Bored Ape Yacht Club, Yuga, is a community member in the Apecoin Foundation, has insiders that own up to 38% of Apecoin's DAO tokens, which is the board that makes decisions on the currency. And Yuga also has strongly suggested that they will adopt Apecoin as the primary token across all new projects moving forward and for the overall ecosystem, including their rapidly upcoming metaverse launch, which is happening really on the 30th, which is Saturday. Also the day ZipTrader use sale expires, but you already know about that. And if you look at the 1 billion tokens, 150 million went to Bored Ape Yacht Club or Mutant Ape Yacht Club members, 150 to Yuga Labs, 80 million to Yuga Labs founders, 140 million to launch contributors, and then 10 million to charity. Very charitable folks. But in effect, people are essentially buying Apecoin as a speculation on the future value of this brand and the future utility in their projects based on how much attention this is getting and how much capital goes to buying different assets in the space using Apecoin. And then who benefits when prices go up? Well, of course, Apecoin holders, which are very largely concentrated in Yuga Labs and Yuga Lab affiliates or Yuga Lab customers. Yuga Labs, of course, also say they're separate from Apecoin, presumably to put themselves in a gray area where they can't be classified as a security, which would put them under the jurisdiction of the SEC. But at the same time, ownership in Apecoin doesn't represent ownership in Yuga Labs. It just kind of represents speculative ownership of the future utility that Apecoin is going to have because it exists in their overall ecosystem. But interestingly enough, Yuga Labs could also decide not to use it at any point if they want. They're not legally obligated to use it. But anyways, rabbit hole aside, the reason this is relevant now is because Yuga and its other side Metaverse project will be apparently powered by Apecoin, and they've been teasing for a while April 30th as the date at which it all begins in typical crypto hype fashion. Twitter and nice graphics. And on that day, there's speculation that there's going to be a massive NFT marketplace launched as well, where you can only buy things from the very popular brands, from the very popular creators of Bored Ape Yacht Club, using Apecoin. And I wouldn't even be talking about this in the first place if they didn't have a strong track record of selling their monkey JPEGs on their main marketplace. That's enough to me to indicate that there's likely going to be a lot of speculation in terms of capital coming in to buy their other projects in the future. And if people use Apecoin to buy those other projects, that's a big deal, right? And Yuga Labs recently allegedly accidentally leaked a deck that says what's going to be happening on Saturday are actually land sales. And again, the land sale would apparently be conducted using Ape, since Apecoin is going to serve as the official currency of the space. And these NFT sales are done via auction. And again, Bored Ape related auctions tend to bring in a lot of attention and a lot of money. And so all that money needs to flow into Apecoin in order for people to be ready to buy things or bid on things at these auctions, which is partly why people are buying this coin ahead of time and why it's been going up so fast. People are buying to get ready for the auction, but also people are buying in speculation that more people are going to buy to get ready for this auction. And on top of that, the aftermath of this auction could get a lot of different headlines, which means more analyst coverage, which means more people knowing about what Apecoin is and then eventually buying Apecoin. And in that sense, the hype to this metaverse catalyst is not just providing an opportunity for Apecoin to go up, but it's also serving as free PR. And so that brings me to my prediction. So quite frankly, and I'm sorry if this offends you, but I would probably rather jump off a very, very large bridge than park a ton of capital in Apecoins or metaverse tokens. But as spec trades, I don't think they're much worse than trading an FDA catalyst or trading something else. You just have to have very strong risk appetite, very strong risk management, and a love of the thrill ride. So I would argue, sure, the trade potential in this as a fast hype momentum trade may be pretty damn solid up to Saturday and maybe even slightly after when you first introduce that new metaverse. And that's all fine and dandy, interesting scalp opportunity up to that point. But you're probably going to see some decent profit taking afterwards. But what I would pay attention to is what happens in the next few weeks. Bored Ape related projects, again, have a track record of getting a ton of money, and a lot of people pay attention to them. And when a lot of people pay a lot for something and a lot of people pay attention to something, it creates this dynamic where everybody's like, why are they paying attention to monkey currencies or monkey NFTs? And then it just kind of infects people like a super spreader. It doesn't matter if you're wearing a mask or not, this thing's gonna get you sick. And at that point, if the hype continues, you should see Apecoin have new rallies in the weeks after this event. Considering how much it's been able to brush off the massive risk-off environment in the overall capital market since inception alone, I would not be surprised if you get a decent press coverage of this the next couple of weeks to see a lot more capital flow in. So as a trading opportunity, I expect you're going to see multiple strong rallies to trade off of here. I think they're probably going to be separate though. I think you're going to see this original hype rally, and then you're going to see some profit taking, and then you want to look for that residual spike and that new uptake of a rebirth a phoenix reburning from the ashes, where you see this go up again as people start thinking, Apecoin. Anyways, that's my thought process, folks. Let me know what you think down below. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us below or join us on ZipTrader Circle if you're looking to learn how to trade very violently and get in on our Never Give Up coupon code before it ends on Saturday night. Make sure to go ahead and click that link to ZipTrader U down below. Thank you again, Masterworks, for sponsoring us today. Learn more about investing in art by also clicking that link below. Have a good one, folks, and I'll see you in the next video.